I'm Pastor Timothy James Farrell, and I serve as lead pastor of a non-denominational church called The Tab. The Tab is located at 1845 West Hovey Avenue in Normal, Illinois. I also would like to invite you to join us in person every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. for our weekly worship celebration. You can also join us on the Tab Facebook page or the Tab YouTube channel. Here's this week's message.
Today, we're going to be doing a message called Winning at Work. My name is DeRocco Reed, and that's my twin brother, DeRicco Reed. And yes, I am the good-looking one, all right? So, okay. So we've been doing a series, Winning at Life. And so Pastor Tim been preaching about certain topics about winning at life. But me and Rico's topic is going to be about winning at work. Now, what does it mean to work? The definition of work is this activity involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a purpose or result. Now, when people think about work, they think about a 9-to-5 job. You go in, you clock in, you work your daily wage, and then you clock out. That's when people think about work. But there's other ways to think about work. One, working on your marriage, working on your house, working on your yard. And if you have a car, you working on your car. Now, when you think about work means giving effort to something. That's the only way you can work. You have to give effort. I don't care you have a riding lawnmower. You have to start it. You have to get up on it, and you have to drive it. You have to give effort because that riding lawnmower is not going to work unless you give effort. Now, when you give effort, when you work, you got to be mentally and physically giving effort. I don't care if it's not a lot of effort. You have to give effort. Genesis 2:15 states this. The Lord God then took a man and settled him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate and care for it. That means when God planted Adam in the Garden of Eden, he told him, I want you to work the land. So that means Adam had to work and give effort. Now, what does it mean to work for God? Working for the Lord is about honoring God. When you work for him, you honor him. Especially if your heart is true in it, you honor God. When people see you and you working for God, they see this man is honoring God. Now, when you work for the Lord, you have to work according to his values. You can't just be an unbeliever up here and just working for God. You got to work for his values. For example, the fruits of the Spirit, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentle, and self-control. You have to have his values when you work for him. Nobody's perfect. We all fall short of the glory of God. Nobody's perfect. But you have to have his values. Now, working for God, you have to put others before yourself. It don't matter what type of situation it is. Everybody do different ways when they put others, but you have to put others before yourself. Now, one thing you need to learn when you work for God, you got to have perseverance. And work for God, God teaches you endurance. And with that, when he teaches endurance, which helps to develop your character. Now, I remember my freshman year in high school, I was on a track team. And my head coach, he had this philosophy to throw the freshmen into the fire. So basically what he would do, when it came to the small track meets, he would take the freshmen and put them in events with the juniors and seniors. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, why is this man put me in events with juniors and seniors? Why he can't just have me run against the freshmen? So basically what he was doing was he was testing me and testing my character to see how I react to it. And every time I ran against the juniors and seniors and they would beat me, I would get upset. So basically what was happening was he was teaching me endurance. Because life is not a track meet, it's a marathon. So he was teaching me, look, this is what you're going to have to do when you run against these kind of guys. You're going to have to train. You're going to have to eat right. You got to work out, lift weights, and things like that. So what that made me do, that made me work harder. Because I kept getting upset losing to these junior seniors. Even though they was older than me and they was more mature than me physically, I just kept getting upset about it. So what did I do? I started working hard. I started hitting the weights. I started practicing harder. And then when I came my sophomore year, I was mentally and physically different because I had to persevere. I had to endure the hardship of my freshman year. And if you're going to work for God, you're going to have to go through some things. Colossians 3:23 and 24 states this: whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord is not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. And John 14:12 states this: verily, truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do work I have been doing, and they will do it even greater than these, because I am going to the Father.
How y'all doing out there? Now, he might be the better look one, but I was the best one off. Something that people forget to do, it could be in sports, life, work, they forget to rest. Rest is very important. Some people love to work, nothing wrong with that. They can work all day, every day, 24/7, 365 days a year. But they forget the key thing important, and that's the rest. All right, you're looking at a person. You know how you listen to some of these motivational speakers? And they say, man, you got to work all day, 24/7. So I got caught up in that. So I go from one place to the next place to the next place and work. Yes, I was performing at a high level, but the other part of my life was starting to decline. So because I got caught on that you have to outwork this person, which is true. You have to outwork the other person. But if your body and your mental stage is breaking down, it really doesn't matter, because sooner or later it's going to catch up to you. So I'm going to start with Genesis 2:3. Then God blessed the seventh day, and he made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work that he created and that he have done. So God, he don't need to rest. He don't. But he understood, and he was trying to show us that we need to rest. I remember one time I was working with this girl. I lived in Oklahoma a couple years ago, and she was just like me. Same personality. She trained and trained and trained. And I noticed that her performance started to decline. And I told her, hey, you need to take the week off. Don't do nothing. Don't lift weights. It was during the summer. Don't do nothing. Man, she fought me. She cried. She kind of had a nervous breakdown. But I kind of told her mom she needs to rest. So she took the week off. She didn't go to school and train with the kids on the team. Yeah, she got in trouble. But the week after that, she noticed that her body felt better. It's very important. Another thing, I also coach track. And I have a system. In the beginning of the week, I work my kids hard. By the time they get in the middle of the week, then we start working on technique. But the last 2 days, if the track meets on Saturday, about 72 hours, I start resting them, because I want them to perform at a high level. Because you know it's a saying that if you do something over and over again, you get the same result. So if you continue to work hard, but overdo it, will you perform at a high level? And I know there's people out here that worked and worked and worked, but they forgot life at home. They forgot their kids. I mean, you looking at me, you know, I worked and worked. I forgot about my life at home, forgot about my kids. But now I'm starting to understand I need to rest. Another thing is, there's nothing wrong with working hard. Because in this day, there's more people who's not doing nothing, sitting on the couch. I mean, they collecting a check. But I'm telling the truth. But they refuse to go out and work. And there's 7 common symptoms when you definitely overwork. 1, you got sleep disorder, like insomnia and overall poor sleeping patterns. I wonder if have anybody experienced that before. I know you have. Don't be quiet. Another one. This is a good one. You feeling distracted with every task. Trust me, I've been there. I'm not ashamed to say it. Another one, you ever notice that a person who overwork, all of a sudden they get sick all the time? That's true. Another one is you don't have no energy. You have lack of energy for a simple task. Something that you do on a regular, but you get so tired. Another one, you disregard the importance of sleeping. Have you ever been so tired that you couldn't sleep? That's when you know you overworked. And you ever notice people who have mood swings? They have negative self-talk. When you like super overworked and tired, the devil know when to attack you, and that's the perfect time to attack you. Cause well, think about it. When a person's tired, right? I got this saying: you never make a decision when you're super tired. That's when you make the worst decisions. When Jesus was in the wilderness, when the devil attacked him, he didn't attack him when he was upright. He attacked him when he was tired, he was hungry, because he knew he could play with his mind at that time. And another thing I think about is when you overwork, your balance of life, your social life and work life is off. And like I said, I've been there. You have to have work or balance and life or balance. It's important to work. It's important to do all that, to work hard, to provide for your family. But you know how people say something, but they say but, they wash everything else off what they said, but it's important to rest.
Now, the next one is provide for your family. 1 Timothy 5:8 states this: anyone who does not provide for their relatives, and especially for their own household, has to deny the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Now, everybody knows when you provide for your family, you're going out to work, you're earning a paycheck. With that paycheck, you can pay bills, buy food, pay for your mortgage. If you have a mortgage, apartment, whatever necessities you need, that's what you go to work for. Now, providing for your family. The Bible teaches you that working is simply a tool to serve your family and your community. Yesterday, my daughter Avery, we was having her birthday party, and I was sitting there talking to Janelle's dad, That's my wife Janelle's dad. And we was having a conversation about working. And while we was having this conversation, I was telling him the job before I work now, I was having problems, mental and physical problems. I mean, I was happy that I was working. I was grateful that I had a job. But in this job, I just didn't want to work anymore. I mean, I was about to have a nervous breakdown. I was having so many physical problems with this job, and I didn't want to work. I didn't want to do it. It was so many days that I wanted to say, I quit. But I told him, I looked at him, I told him, and I said, but I knew I couldn't do that because I had to provide for my family. See, my family depends on me. And so now let's look at this a different situation. Now just say if I would have woke up one day and say, you know what? I'm going to quit my job. I'm no longer going to work. I'm going to sit in front of the TV and watch TV all day. Now, you know what's going to happen? Especially since I'm only going to work and my wife is a stay-home mother. It's going to cause a conflict between our marriage. Then it's going to trickle effect down to the kids. Now, it's one thing is if it's just me. I say I quit and I want to go home and do nothing. But it's another thing when it affects my wife and my kids. And that's what I meant when I told him. I told him I had to provide for my family. Now, the next one is building an inheritance for your family. Proverbs 13:22, it states this: a good person leaves an inheritance for their children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up in righteousness. Who should you leave an inheritance to? If you have a surviving spouse, followed by your children and your grandchildren. Now, it's all kind of ways you can leave an inheritance. One, you have a job and you saving. Another, if you have a 401k, a RAA, something like that. If you invest in property and if you leave all that with them. Or with your kids, you open up an account for school so they can have an education, or you open up a savings account. You growing up their inheritance, so when you leave, they'll have something. Now, I know y'all remember the song, Papa was a Rolling Stone, and when he died, all he left was a loan. Now, just say, if it's the mother, father, whoever was working, and they died all of a sudden, and they had a massive debt. Who does that affect? Now, it doesn't affect the person who just died, but that debt trickles down to the next person. Or are you going to leave an inheritance for your children, or your spouse? Generation wealth. It refers to financial assets that are passed down through families to children, grandchildren, and beyond. I'm not saying you have to be rich. I'm not saying that. But you want to leave your family something. It might not be a lot, but you do not want to be like the Rolling Stone and leave alone.
And this is a very touching part right here that most people now in this generation is refusing to work. In 2 Thessalonians 3:10, it said, "For even when we were with you, we gave you this rule. The one who is unwilling to work shall not eat." That's a very, very, very touching. Now, if you look at today, especially after 2020, you have more people now who's not working. They refuse to work. They're collecting the check. But in that process, who's paying for that? Nothing is free in life. Nothing. Somebody's paying for it. Somebody's making a sacrifice for it. But, I started thinking, everybody have a gift. Everybody have a talent. You are good at something. And another thing I'm starting to think about is God knows who you are as a person. He knows your talent. He knows your gift. Another thing I want to say, this is very important. If God trusts you with the gift or with the talent, and if you don't use it, it don't stop there. It goes to the next person. To every ideal that was out in the world, usually it went to somebody else first. But you sat down, you didn't want to do it, you didn't want to put in the time, so it just goes to the next person. Now, if you think about the story of the talent, the people in the tent, you had the person with the 5 talent, you had the person with the 2, and you had the person with the 1. Now, the person who had the 5, they put in the work, they put in the time, and it doubled. You think about that. The person with the 2 talent, no, the person who had the 2, they did the same thing. They put in the time, put in the work, and it doubled. Now, the person with the 1, hey, you know what, though? That might be the most important talent, the most important gift. Because you have 1, maybe that might be the gift that God was going to use to help somebody else. But they decided, I'm ashamed, I'm afraid, I'm going to dig up some dirt, I'm going to put it in there and bury it. So, but what happened with that person that had that 1 talent? It didn't stop there. That's what most people don't think about. Somebody is going to use it. Somebody is going to cherish that talent. Somebody's going to cherish that gift. It doesn't stop. I guarantee you there was a song that maybe came to a person 30 years ago, or an idea that came 30 years ago, but they sat on it. So God said, all right, I'm going to wait 30 years. I'm going to give it to this person. Then all of a sudden, they come up, they work on it. All of a sudden, now they're making a lot of money off a talent that somebody could be making 30 years ago. Yes, you have to work, but refusing to work is another thing. And also, I want to say with that, I was working with a lady one time. I was a manager at a Wendy's. And I said, hey, can you do 1 more hour? She said, no, I can't do 1 more hour. I said, what you mean you can't do another hour? She said, I will lose my benefits if I do another hour because I only can work 20 hours a week. So I sat there and looked at her. I said, so you saying you would rather to live off the government than to work yourself up and have something on your own that you made for yourself and you did for yourself? Yes. And that blew my mind. That really blew my mind because I thought, because, I came up in an old school generation. You had to work. And so when I heard said that, I couldn't believe it. And another thing we have here is not being jealous. Genesis 4:3-5. In the course of the time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as the offering to the Lord. And Abel also brought an offering, fat portion from some of the firstborn of his flock. The Lord looked in favor of Abel and offering it. But the Cain and his offering did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. I have a question here. Why did God reject Cain's offering? And why did he accept Abel's offering? They both gave God something, offered something. Now, if you look into the story, Cain just brought some fruit. Abel brought his first and his best. That was the difference. And his fattest. So when he offered God his best. Now you notice you got two people at work going for the same position. Somebody got to make a decision. The manager got to make a decision. He's going to look and say, all right, this person did this and this and this. All right, this person's very talented. He got way more talent. But he's lazy. That's what happened in that story. But the person who didn't get it, Cain, God rejected his offering. He got upset. But he didn't stop to look at himself. Why? Why did God reject my offer? That is very important.
Now, in this situation, I'm about to talk about your money. All right. This definitely, even for me, this is a tough one I'm about to talk about. Even to this day, I still struggle with it. The purpose of paying tithes. Now, when you tithing, it grows trust in God. By sacrificing 10% of your income, we learn to rely on God. While 10% might be a sizable part of some people's earnings, giving tithes means that you trust that God will still provide you with enough food and wealth to live. I remember this story. My friend, when I was in Champaign, he was telling a story that he only had $5 to his name. And the pastor was like, we need people, to pay tithes. We need to pay tithes. And the guy, he was sitting there like, man, I only got $5 to my name. I need to get something to eat after this. I paid all my bills and this and that, but I need to get something to eat, so I'm going to need these $5. So the pastor was still like, I need some extra money. I need some extra money. And then all of a sudden, God started telling him, hey, go up there and give you $5. He's like, but he was talking to himself like, but God, you don't understand. I need to eat something. And God was like, no. I need you to go up there and give you $5. He said, but God, this is my last $5. Do you understand? And God's like, yes, but I need you to go up there, walk up there and give you $5. He said he got out of his chair and he was upset. He was walking and he put the $5 in the basket. And he walked back and he said he sat down. And he was like, I'm not going to have nothing to eat today because I gave my last $5. And when he got home, he was getting ready to do laundry. So, you always, search for your pockets, whatever, make sure you got nothing in your pockets before you put it in the water. And it was the pants. He put his hands in the pants, and all he realized, he had $20 that he left in the pants. And he was like, what? I got $20? And then he realized God told him to go up there and put that $5, but he didn't realize he had $20 at home. Now, 5 reasons why tithing is actually a benefit for you. Tithing helps you to trust in God. For some people, 10% is a lot of money. When you get 10% of your earning, whatever you can give, that's a lot. Some people, that's a lot of money, because some people live check to check. You really got to trust in God when you give your money to the church or God. Tithing helps you to have faith in God's provision. You give to the church. First, you hope the church is doing what they're supposed to do with the money. But that's not up to you. Your job is to give the money, and you're hoping they do that. But with that money, the church can provide. Say like somebody come off the street and they need something to eat. The church can provide that. Say if somebody was having struggle paying a bill or their mortgage, the church can provide that. I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to wake me and Rico up early in the morning. 5 o'clock in the morning, he'll wake us up. And I'm sitting there like, man, it's 5 o'clock. It's Saturday. Why you wake me up 5 o'clock? He's like, we got to go to the food pantry. I'm like, food pantry for what? We got to go to the food pantry, so when people come to the church who need food, we can provide for them. So we'll drive over to Champaign, and we'll be over there for hours loading up the van. Then we'll drive back to Danville. Now we got to load up the food pantry. And I'm like, all this work for nothing. But I remember something. People used to knock on our door. They just come to our house, knock on the door. And this is what they'll say. Is this the house that feeds people? I'm like, yeah. I was like, let me go get my dad. But I never realized what they were saying. They needed help, and the church provided for them. Tithing helps you to obey God with what's precious to you. Like I said, even to this day, I struggle with tithing. Tithing helps you to become more generous. When you're tithing, you're giving it away, and that money goes to help somebody else. And what that teaches you, when somebody come off the street and they need help, it teaches you to help them. I remember I was working at the bank, and I was like, God, I'm feeling generous. I'm like, God, send me somebody I can help. God, send me somebody I can help, God. Just use me to help somebody. All of a sudden, I'm sitting in the parking lot, and then this lady tire was flat. And I was like, God, I didn't mean right now. I said, send me. I didn't mean send me something right now. But then I went to her, I was like, do you need help? She's like, no, it's okay. My husband is coming. I said, okay. By tithing, it teaches me to be generous, especially when like me and my brother, we used to coach and train kids. Some of the kids come from broken homes. Some of the kids come from a single parent home. And me and Rico would take that kid and help them get off to college, help them make grades or whatever they need to do. And one thing always did my heart good, especially when it's a mother. When they come to me and Rico and they say, thank you. You do not understand. I was having problems at home with my kid. You do not understand that my kid wouldn't listen to me. But when you came and walked in their life, they straightened up. They start going to school, getting their education, start training better, eating right. And it always felt my heart good when a mother comes to me and say, thank you. Tithing helps you to understand your real source of blessing. It's a blessing when you tithe. It is a blessing because you're blessing somebody else. When you tithe, you're blessing somebody else. Just like I said, when people come to the church and they need help, it's a blessing. When they come and they need food or something, it's a blessing. When they come and they don't know where to turn and where to go, but they come to the church, you help to provide that. It's a blessing. These topic, winning at work, is definitely a tough topic. Just like my twin was talking about, work, and not resting and not being jealous and things like that. This is definitely a tough topic for me. But if you're not willing to work, and if you're not willing to put in the time to work, and you're not willing to put in the effort to work, and you're not willing to provide for your family, any man can make a baby. But when you father that child, when you provide for that child, that's a different story. And like we said before, when you work, you have to give effort. You cannot work without effort. And today I want to thank y'all for coming and listen to this topic about work. I know it's a boring topic when you're talking about work, but I want to thank y'all for being here and listening to this topic. And God, we just want to thank you for today. We want to thank you for this beautiful sunny day. God, we want to thank you for providing a job that we can go to and work. Because you didn't have to, God. You could have said, no, I'm not going to give that job to you. But you allowed it to happen. God, I just want to thank you for allowing the people to come here and hearing the word about work and what you have to do and what you need to do when you work. God, just when people leave the church today, God, just open up their hearts and say, even if it's work, I need to be better. And also be a blessing for somebody else. And God, I just thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.